What if the Force isn't just light and dark? What if there's a hidden spectrum, entire layers of power buried so deep that even the Jedi and Sith barely scratch the surface? Tonight, we're diving into 18 dark, mind-bending Star Wars secrets. Secrets that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the galaxy far, far away. These aren't just theories. They're connections hidden across decades of lore, from the films to ancient legends. By the end, you'll see the Force not as a simple battle between good and evil, but as a vast cosmic web, with truths stranger than fiction. Theory 1. The living Force versus the cosmic Force, two sides of eternity. The Jedi spoke often of balance, but what if balance isn't about light and dark, but about the living Force and the cosmic Force? The living Force is what flows through every creature, every planet, every heartbeat. The cosmic Force is something far stranger, the eternal ocean that absorbs consciousness when life ends. Qui-Gon Jinn understood this, which is why he was the first Jedi to return as a Force ghost. What if the truth is that Force ghosts are not just lingering spirits, but fragments of the cosmic Force choosing to stay behind? If so, then the Jedi's greatest masters weren't just guiding from beyond, they were bending the will of eternity itself. Theory 2. The Sith weren't evil. They were gatekeepers of forbidden knowledge. The Jedi branded the Sith as villains, but ancient records show something more complicated. The Sith delved into knowledge the Jedi feared: resurrection, immortality, and time itself. What if the Sith were not the galaxy's destroyers, but its explorers? What if their obsession with power was just a corrupted reflection of their original purpose, to understand the deepest truths of existence? Perhaps the greatest tragedy of Star Wars isn't Anakin's fall, but the Jedi and Sith forgetting that they were once two halves of the same order. Theory 3. Lightsabers as living beings. Kyber crystals aren't just tools, they're alive. They resonate with the Force. When a Sith bleeds a crystal red, it isn't just corruption, it's torture. A conscious, living being screaming in pain. But here's the real secret. When Rey hears the voices of Jedi past in The Rise of Skywalker, what if those voices came not from the beyond, but from her lightsaber itself? Every crystal remembers every battle, every wielder, meaning the Jedi and Sith aren't just remembered in history books, they're literally carried in the weapons of the future. Theory 4. The world between worlds isn't time travel, it's consciousness. Travel Ezra. Bridger didn't walk through time, he walked through memory. The world between worlds is not a time machine but a map of all consciousness across the Force. This means when someone enters, they aren't changing the past. They're reliving it, reshaping their own perception. The danger isn't paradox. The danger is losing your mind inside infinity. Theory 5. Anakin Skywalker. Was the Force's answer to Palpatine? Palpatine believed he and Darth Plagueis created Anakin through Sith alchemy. But what if their dark experiment triggered the Force itself to act? Anakin was never their creation. He was the Force's immune response, a living antibody sent to burn out the infection of the Sith. Every fall, every failure, every heartbreak was part of the design. Because only through darkness could Anakin understand light. Only through Vader's shadow could balance be restored. Theory 6. Yoda's race, the Guardians of Balance. Why do we know so little about Yoda's people? Because they were never meant to be known. Every member of Yoda's species we've seen, Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu, shares the same role, guardians of cosmic balance. Perhaps they are not a species at all, but manifestations of the Force itself, sent into physical form only during times of great imbalance. Theory 7. The Jedi temples as galactic machines. What if the temples weren't places of worship at all, but pieces of a massive galaxy-spanning machine? From Lothal to Coruscant, Jedi temples were always built at nexus points of force energy. Align them all together and you create something staggering, a network that could control the balance of the force across the entire galaxy. Did the Jedi lose this knowledge, or did they hide it, fearing what it could unleash? Theory 8. The Force is alive. Literally, what if the Force isn't energy? What if it's a living being? The will of the Force might be an actual will, a mind beyond comprehension, using mortals as vessels to play out its eternal story. This would mean that every Jedi, every Sith, every battle was not random. It was the Force itself playing chess with the galaxy. Theory 9. Force ghosts aren't spirits, they're anchors of memory. When Obi-Wan, Yoda, or Anakin appear after death, we think of them as ghosts. But what if they're not lingering souls at all? Instead, they may be anchors of the cosmic force, fragments of consciousness tethered back into reality. Qui-Gon Jinn was the first to discover this, learning that death didn't erase him, but dissolved him into eternity. With discipline, he could project his memory back into the living force. That's why Obi-Wan and Yoda's spirits glow blue. They're not physical beings anymore, they're luminous echoes of the Force itself. This also explains why Sith can't return as true ghosts. Their obsession with physical immortality chains them to the living world. They manifest as shadows, whispers, and voices, but never as serene presences. They're too bound to ego, while Jedi surrender to memory. Theory 10. Hyperspace. A pathway through the Force. For decades, hyperspace has seemed like technology. Ships jump, stars streak, and distances collapse. But ancient Jedi legends hint at something stranger. Hyperspace might not be travel at all. It might be swimming through the Force itself. The ancient Purrgil, those great space whales, were the first to use hyperspace. But how could a living creature do what even the most advanced ships struggle to achieve? Because hyperspace is not artificial. It's natural. It's the veins of the galaxy, carrying the current of the Force itself. That means every jump through hyperspace is like diving into the bloodstream of the universe. Perhaps this is why some Jedi experienced visions while traveling, the Force itself whispering to them as they rode its currents. Theory 11. The Sith Eternal. Worshippers of forgotten gods. On Exegol, Palpatine's cult, the Sith Eternal raised vast temples, chanted in shadows, and promised his resurrection. But what if they weren't just servants? What if they were worshippers of something far older? Carvings on Exegol show beings not unlike the Mortis gods, colossal figures of shadow and flame. Could the Sith Eternal have preserved memory of forgotten entities, primal embodiments of the Force, older even than the Jedi? If Palpatine drew power from them, then his return wasn't just cloning or sorcery. It was the will of ancient gods reaching through him. Theory 12. The dark side is not evil. It's entropy. The Jedi called the dark side evil. But what if it's more fundamental than morality? The dark side may be the natural force of entropy. The universe's inevitable march toward decay. Stars collapse. Civilizations crumble. Life withers. To embrace the dark side isn't to become evil. It's to align with the truth that all things die. The Sith simply turned this truth into hunger, accelerating decay for power. But entropy itself is not wicked, it is balance. Without death, there can be no renewal. Theory 13. The Mortis gods were real, but they were not alone. The Father, Son, and Daughter embody balance, darkness, and light. But what if Mortis was only one piece of the puzzle? Imagine an entire pantheon of Force beings, each representing fundamental aspects of reality. Perhaps beyond Mortis lies the Mother, symbol of creation, or the Stranger, symbol of chaos. The Jedi may have encountered fragments of these truths, but preserved them only in myth. If Mortis was real, then so were others, and perhaps their echoes ripple through the galaxy still. Theory 14. Luke's exile wasn't failure. It was discovery. When Luke vanished, many thought he ran in shame. But what if his retreat to Arch 2 wasn't just regret? It was research. The Jedi texts he guarded were more than history. They contained references to the Chain Worlds theorem, to ancient portals, to the living and cosmic force. Luke may have been closer than anyone to uncovering the full truth, that the Force was not a binary but a spectrum. Perhaps Luke didn't die in defeat. Perhaps his vanishing into the Force was the first step toward transcending the cycle entirely. Theory 15. The lightsaber as a key to balance. The lightsaber isn't just an ancient weapon. It's a riddle. The only lightsaber with a black blade. The color of absence, a void. Its edge glows white like light itself trapped inside darkness. This weapon may have been crafted to symbolize the entire paradox of the Force. Light contained within shadow, shadow wrapped around light. The reason it inspires loyalty and fear may be because deep down it resonates with the truth of the Force itself. Theory 16. The Clone Wars were engineered by the Force. Palpatine believed he orchestrated the Clone Wars. But what if he was just a pawn? The galaxy had grown stagnant. Jedi sat in ivory towers. Sith lurked in shadows. The balance had frozen. The Clone Wars shattered that stasis. Billions suffered, but in the end, the Force was renewed. Jedi destroyed, Sith revealed, and Anakin brought to his destiny. Could the entire war have been not Palpatine's design, but the Force itself shaking the galaxy awake? Theory 17. Rey as the heir of all Force wielders. Palpatine called Rey his granddaughter. But bloodlines in the Force are not so simple. When she heard the voices of every Jedi at the end of her journey, she wasn't just channeling them. She was their culmination. The dyad with Ben made her not just one warrior, but the living heir of every will that came before. Rey may not just be a new Jedi, she may be the embodiment of the Jedi itself. Theory 18. The Force is the universe's heartbeat. Every theory leads to this final truth. What if the Force isn't magic or destiny or energy? What if the Force is life itself, the literal heartbeat of the cosmos? Every sunrise, every death, every star igniting, every black hole consuming. All of it is the pulse of something vast, alive, eternal. The Jedi and Sith didn't invent the Force, they only glimpsed it, and like children staring at the ocean, they mistook its waves for its entirety. The true Force may be the universe itself, alive, dreaming, and endlessly reborn. Closing. So the next time you watch Star Wars, ask yourself, are we seeing a battle between Jedi and Sith? Or are we seeing the pulse of eternity itself playing out across the stars? Because if these secrets are true, then Star Wars isn't just a galaxy far, far away. It's the story of all existence.